In this lesson, we're going to keep talking about the introduction to trigonometry and triangles, and we have two properties of triangles to look at in this lesson, specifically the sum angle principle, or angle sum principle, and Pythagorean theorem. So the angle sum principle says that the sum of three angles of any triangle is 180 degrees. The sum of three angles of any triangle is 180 degrees. So if we add up the angles, we get 180, and that's the angle sum principle. So if I tell you two angles in a triangle, you can find the third. The Pythagorean theorem then is one of the more important theorems that we're going to see, and we're going to see it come up in a number of different forms. For a right triangle, and that's very important, this is specifically for a right triangle and only a right triangle. The square of the length of the hypotenuse, so the square of the length of the hypotenuse, is equal to the sum, so the hypotenuse is by itself, and that's equal to the sum of the squares of the length of the two legs. So we have the two legs, and those are also squared. Usually it's written this way: c squared equals a squared plus b squared, and that would apply to this triangle where the hypotenuse is the longest side. C is across from the 90-degree angle. And we can apply this to find any two sides of any side of a right triangle, provided we know the other two sides. So we're going to do two quick examples here. And the first thing you're going to do is draw the triangle, and that holds for any question in this unit. If you can draw the triangle, then you should definitely do that first. So a right triangle ABC. So we're going to draw a right triangle. So there's a right triangle, which means it has a 90-degree angle. The 90-degree angle is angle A, so A has to be here. Now B and C can be either one. It's only the 90 that has to be labeled correctly. Opposite angle C, we get side C, which is 10, so this is 10.0. And opposite angle B is side B, so this is 6.0. Remember, lowercase is the side length, uppercase is the angle. So for this triangle, Pythagorean theorem says the hypotenuse, which is side A squared, is equal to side B squared plus side C squared. And A squared is then equal to 6.0 squared plus 10.0 squared. We'll just drop the 0.0. So A squared equals 36 plus 100, which is 136. Take the square root then. So A is going to be square root. Square root is second function x squared, 136. So the answer is 11.7, rounded to one decimal place. And so that's A. In example 2 then, we're going to do the same thing, draw a triangle first. So we have right triangle PQR. We have a right angle. Angle P is 90, so that's got to be P. The other two, we can say this is Q and this is R. P, so the hypotenuse, is 32.0. R, so opposite capital R, little r, is 28.3. So there's our sketch. Using Pythagorean theorem, P squared equals the two legs squared, so Q squared plus R squared. We need to find side Q, so Q squared is going to be P squared minus R squared. R comes to the other side. We can fill in the pieces now. We get P squared is 32.0 squared minus R, which is 28.3 squared. And that gives us Q squared is equal to 32 squared minus 28.3 squared, enter, 223.11. Take the square root then, and we find that Q is square root of the answer is 14.9 to one decimal place, so 14.9. So there's Q. We'll stop this lesson here. In the next lesson, we'll start talking more about trigonometric functions. Make sure, even though I know most of you have seen Pythagorean Theorem before, make sure you do a couple more examples so that you can understand how to move the pieces, you're not making silly mistakes, because this is a very important skill that we'll use many times throughout this unit. So we'll end the lesson there. If you have any questions, come see me, go to the Math Help Center, send me an email, comment on the videos. There's lots of ways to get help. We're getting later in the semester now, so make sure that you're on top of your work, and we'll see you in the next lesson.